Half Size Me episode 680, brought to you by the amazing Half Size Me Academy. To join us, please go to halfsizeme.com/join.
Here's your story, let's begin. The water's fine, come on, dive in. The future's here, it's right before your eyes. Step by step, you're on your way. Welcome to a brighter day. Don't you know it feels good to be alive? You could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You could have all you ever wanted, shoot the moon and reach for Mars. You know you could.
Hello, beautiful listeners. I am your coach, Heather, and I am so grateful that you are here. And today's going to be kind of a different episode, actually. I am going to be sharing my thoughts on what I have observed as a coach, and now that I'm working with clients that are on GLP-1 medications, things I've seen and noticed, resources I'm going to be sharing, because I see there being some misconceptions from people about what these medications do and how they perform, and really expectations more than anything. So I just want to give you a heads up. Speaking of expectations, if you struggle with the scale, you struggle with what the scale should be doing, and you struggle with seeing your weight bouncing around all over the place, and you struggle with seeing the scale go up when you think it should be going down, and all that information, then you will want to join the HSM Academy in March for Scale Sanity. Our monthly learning focus is going to be all around the scale, how your lower brain uses that as a negotiation tool. And I'm going to be totally transparent in my coaching. If I know somebody is really spinning out around a certain weight, we'll put the scale away for a couple weeks, because their habits and behaviors are really what influence the scale, not what the scale it says all by itself, right? Like the scale isn't doing anything. It's not cooking your meals. It's not weighing your food. It's not tracking. It's not going for the walks. It's not drinking the water. It literally sits on the ground and it gives you feedback, which is helpful feedback, but it's not like it's going to change the prognosis. You've got to get in there and do the actions. So I would encourage you, if you've ever felt yourself stressing about the scale, feeling like it's you against the scale, feeling like the scale's got it out for you, this might be the month for you to join us. And to do that, you just go to halfsizeme.com/join. Oh, and really quick, before we go in today's solo cast, I have some really great news that I want to update you on. I have compiled a bunch of information on GLP-1 medications, things I've seen work with my clients. I have my resource hub in the HSM Academy, but I have recently created an ebook. This ebook is called The GLP-1 Journey, Managing Expectations, Building Habits, and Finding Success. And in this ebook, you're going to find a lot of really good nuggets of information that I think are going to help you. Since I've been making this information available in the Academy, I've had many members reach out to me and say they've been searching the internet for stuff about this, about the emotional side, about what good eating practices would look like with these medications. And they're saying that this is the first that they have seen this information available. I had one of our Academy members share some of the information with a friend of hers who just recently went on a GLP-1 medication. So I think this information could be extremely valuable for you in a couple ways. One, how to better handle your eating while on these medications if you are planning on going on them. A way for you to manage the expectations so you really have a good understanding of what to expect, and understanding that really when you pay for these medications, you're paying to kind of be part of a science experiment. Everyone reacts differently to these medications. No two people have the exact same outcome, whether it's side effects, whether it's the rate of weight loss. There seems to be a lot of differentiating factors between people on, and even on the same exact medication. So I just want to encourage you, if you've been struggling, if you could use some help, and if you want to get a good insight as to would this even maybe be a good fit for me, I've kind of thought about maybe doing this, but I'd like like a little bit more insight, I would highly encourage you to get my copy of the GLP-1 Journey. Again, it's an ebook. There's two ways that you would have access to that. One, if you're in the HSM Academy, it will be in our GLP-1 resource hub in the weight loss tool section. And if you are a podcast premium subscriber, you're going to find it as a post inside of your Supercast account. So just log into Supercast. You can access it there. So if you're listening to this and you really like to get your hands on this book, I would highly encourage you become a Supercast subscriber. To do so, just go to halfsizeme.com/fan. All right, now let's rock out this solo cast. I will talk to you soon. All right, so our topic today is GLP-1 medications, and ultimately what I am seeing as a coach. I'm not a medical professional, I'm not a nurse, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a nutritionist and a dietitian. In the last 6 months to a year, I've been very fortunate to work with clients that are on some form of GLP-1 medications, whether it's tirzepatide, Zepbound, compounded versions of the medication, or they have been on Wegovy. And so the things that I want to share today is just my observations of what I'm actually seeing in practice versus what you might be seeing on social media. And what I have done to better help out even our Academy members is, if you're in the Half Size Me Academy and you're not aware of this, in our resources and tools section in the Academy, you're going to notice a brand new section that says GLP-1 Medications Resource Hub. And this is really going to be about all the things that are available to you knowledge-wise that I've accumulated thus far. As I get new stuff, I'm going to put it in there. But the reason I kind of want to share that is because I'm noticing certain things. Okay, so let's first off talk a little bit about expectations. So often when I'm working with a client that's on these medicines, and I've actually had people fill out my form for one-on-one coaching, and one of the things that they're really needing help with is, hey, I'm paying $1,000 a month for this medicine and I'm losing 1 to 2 pounds a month. I don't understand. What is wrong, quote unquote, with me? What is wrong with, why am I not getting the results I'm seeing other people getting? And this really, at the end of the day, in my opinion, is the issue. I feel like, this is my personal perception of it, if you're going to pay the money for the medication, you need to get some kind of assistance on what you need to do with your food, on what you need to be doing day to day to get the most benefit out of these medications. The first thing is that here's how I see both bariatric surgery and GLP-1 medications. They are buying you time and making it easier for you to implement the habits that everybody needs. So if you join the HSM Academy, you know how we've been talking about habits since day one, since 2012 when I started doing all this. Those habits that I put in place when I started my weight loss journey are the same ones you need, whether you're on a GLP-1, bariatric surgery, or you're doing it without the assistance of either of those. The medicine and the surgery both buy you time. They give you the opportunity to put these habits in, hopefully with less distraction. In the case of bariatric surgery, your stomach obviously has been really reduced in size. You're kind of really limited on what you can eat. So, and really they start you out with the core tenet of a high protein diet, right? So you start out, but often when people come out of bariatric surgery, they don't have a coach. They don't have somebody there who's knowledgeable. So they might do that for the time that they're keeping connection with their doctor. But then when they're past year 1, year 2, if they haven't built in the rest of the habits and they haven't been consistent with the protein because they just got sick and tired of it and they didn't change their approach to food, they're going to gain the weight back. So if they don't have the habits during that window of opportunity and they don't focus on building it, they're going to regress, right? They're going to gain weight back. With the GLP-1 medications, most people I talk to do not want to be on these forever if they aren't medically necessary. The science would indicate you should be on them indefinitely, right? Based on the regain and the science that we have thus far. But what ends up happening is, this is my perception, people will go on these medications. They want to eat the foods they like, that they are comfortable eating. while on these medicines. So they might see a huge drastic decrease in their calories, but they're still eating peanut butter and crackers. They're still having an orange for a snack. They're eating these foods. Now, there is nothing inherently wrong with those foods. But one of the biggest beefs that these medications has received is they say, well, it accelerates muscle loss. And that's really not true. It is if you're not doing all the things we're going to talk about today, which is prioritizing protein, eating protein first off your plate, and getting in that 20 to 30 grams of protein at every feeding. If those things aren't happening and you're dropping 10 pounds a month, there's a ratio. Every pound you lose, whether you're tracking calories and focusing on habits, whether you're on bariatric surgery, whether you're on GLP-1 medications, there is a percentage of every pound you lose that is coming from fat and it's coming from muscle. The perfect scenario is to minimize muscle loss and increase fat loss. Okay. There's really only one way to do that, and that is to eat a high protein diet. So you take this person, bariatric surgery, they just went under the knife. They have probably very little appetite. Doctor says, hey, you're going to drink all these protein shakes. When you get up to it will increase you eating a couple ounces of meat at each feeding, right? And then we'll expand from there. They're starting you out on the right foot. They're giving you the protein. They're telling you what to do. Very simple. People going on GLP-1 medications might not be getting that instruction. Like, I literally had a client just get approved for Zepbound. Her doctor said, yeah, eat more protein. That's it. The end of it. And the client I just took on, she's like, yeah, I'm having 20 grams of protein at breakfast in my yogurt. Good. But I'm having a salami sandwich for lunch. And then I'm having a mandarin orange for a snack. And then I'm having peanut butter and crackers for dinner. And really, that is not sufficient. It is not sufficient amounts of protein. The salami has a certain amount of protein, but it's actually a greater fat source. The peanut butter has trace amounts of protein, but it's a better fat source. If you're going to pay the money and put yourself through bariatric surgery or GLP-1 medications, please hear me on this. Like, changing your eating should be the next major thing you do. Preferably you're doing that before you go on the medications. But if the medications finally calm things down for you, you feel more balanced, you feel less hungry, less cravings. The mission critical, in my opinion, is to say, okay, if all I can stomach is 2 hard-boiled eggs at breakfast and maybe a protein shake at lunch and maybe 4 ounces of chicken at dinner, that's a stellar start. Like, if you're getting in a protein source at every meal, maybe you can't do all the fiber. Maybe you can't be eating meals the way you ate them before you went on the medication. And that honestly is I've watched several of my clients go through this. That is a huge shift in thinking. So when you go on these medicines, they force a lot of habits to change kind of all at once. You're cut back in desire to eat food. You're needing now to increase protein. And a lot of the social things that you did that revolved around food may need to be tweaked and changed, right? So in the HSM Academy, I have this GLP-1 medication resource hub, and here's some of the content that I put in there. My personal thoughts on it, which I'm sharing here today. No easy weight loss, small frequent meals, protein, and I go through each one of these and give more guidance. Emotional changes, separating hype from reality, reducing alcohol cravings, importance of tracking your food, rate of weight loss, managing digestive issues, and why patience is key. And the reason that I'm sharing all of these is because I want, when people make this decision to do this, for them to have a better understanding that, one, there is no easy way to do this. I have helped clients get ready for bariatric surgery. I've had clients come to me 2-3 years post-operation, struggling because they didn't build those habits in, because they didn't have a coach. They didn't have somebody there to help them. So we're doing that after the fact and trying to mitigate weight gain. I've had clients now on GLP-1 medications where they're losing very little, but then over the time of us coaching, we're eating small frequent meals, which one of the things a lot of people don't realize, they kind of get excited about loss of appetite. that's actually not a good thing, not to the degree that you're not eating. The food actually activates the medication as your food goes through your digestive system, right? So you need to be eating small, frequent meals. And like I said, this is a mindset shift more than anything. You were used to breakfast being 2 scrambled eggs and some toast and fruit and juice. You may not be able to eat nearly any of that. You might say, man, this is going to be, I would much rather you have the protein shake and just call it a day and get that 20 to 30 grams of protein, because as you're on these medications, your appetite will change. It won't stay the same. So the longer you're on your dosage, appetite will come back, things will happen, and then you might go up in dosage again until you kind of get the same results, and so on and so forth. So there's no point at which this isn't a process. You're getting an injection, you're getting a result. The result changes, thus the medication might need to change. In the whole process of all of that, you're trying to figure out how to feed yourself in a way that if you chose to come off these medications, or if, gosh forbid, something terrible happened and either A, they weren't available, your insurance won't cover them, somebody steps in and takes them off the market, or there's an issue, you now know how to feed yourself to best support the weight that you've lost, right? So I like to bulletproof people. I like to pretend that the worst case scenario is going to happen. You're not going to have access to these medications. Something happens where you can't get them. So then what do? Well, best case scenario, the thing that is closest to mimicking these medications is eating a high protein, high fiber diet. That is the best. It's not the medications. It's not going to do all the things the medications do. But if we're talking about how can we create a better outcome for somebody, those two things is huge. What a lot of people are confused about is, what is a high protein diet? What does that actually look like? And then how do you routinely implement it as if it's your job? So I just had this conversation with my client. I said, this is your new job now. You're paying $1,000 a month for tirzepatide. We want to get the best out of this medication. You're mission critical, 20 to 30 grams. And if you can't stomach 20 to 30 grams of protein at each meal, could we do 15 at 6 meal intervals? So maybe that's 2 eggs at breakfast. Maybe that's, a half a cup of Greek yogurt mid-morning. Maybe that's 2 ounces of chicken at lunch. Now, to you, as I'm saying this, that does not look like a meal. That looks like little pieces of protein scattered through the day. But for somebody on these medications that has a real hyper response to it, that might be all that they can get down. But that has to be the priority, because if they're trying to still eat the big volume of salad, they're still trying to eat the fruit and the crackers, they're trying to eat all this other stuff, they're going to fill up before they get to the protein. So I was explaining this to my client. Protein needs to be the first thing you plan on your meal plan every day. It needs to be the first thing on your plate every day. And it needs to be the first thing you consume at every meal. First. If you find that after you've been on the medicine for a few months, your appetite has expanded, then you could have the crackers, then you could have the piece of fruit, because you've already consumed the protein. Why is this protein so incredibly important? Going back to where we started. Every pound you lose, a percentage goes to fat, comes from fat sources, percentage comes from muscle. The less you do to actively preserve the muscle, especially if you're in an expedited weight loss, you're dropping 5-10 pounds a month, something like that, the greater amount of muscle you're going to lose, because the body, it's hard to support that. We don't need the muscle. You're not using the muscle, and we're not eating any protein to protect it. So let's let it go. And this is where these medications can kind of get a negative rap, even though it's not the medication's fault, because this happens as a natural byproduct of weight loss, no matter what you do. What it is because they weren't educated on what they needed to be doing, focusing on that protein right away as the appetite improves, increasing it. And that might even mean at first, your fiber has to be a supplement. It might mean you can't eat broccoli and you can't have an apple because you're just too full. So you may have to supplement your fiber at first until you get your protein nailed down. So if I have a brand new client coming to me on a GLP-1 medication and they're struggling, first thing I'm looking at, are you eating on regular intervals? Whether that's 3 meals and a snack, 6 small meals because you can't stomach it. Are you getting in at least 100 grams of protein a day, preferably goal body weight? So if you are somebody who's 200 pounds, but based on your height and weight, 125 would be ideal. 125 grams of protein is kind of where you want to end up long term. But are you even getting to 100, right? Where are you falling in that situation? Then what we do is once we kind of know we're focusing on these meal frequencies, then the next step is let's nix all the other food and make protein the focus. Once that feels like it's going pretty well, which that can take months, then we start to say, let's take a look at fiber, see if we can put some fiber in there to help with digestive issues. So these are some things that I've just observed. Like I said, I'm just sharing this with you. And right now, if you're listening to this and you are in this boat, you're struggling. In our podcast premium subscription, I'm currently doing a coaching series with Sarah. She had a baby. She took a hiatus for about 11 months. She came back to coaching with me, and now she is on a compounded GLP-1 medication. She's sharing on there, having already gone through bariatric surgery, now on a GLP-1 medication, what she is seeing that's different and kind of dealing with some of these emotional things. So we covered just now the things that are more food-based. In my next installment of this, I'm going to share with you some of the emotional aspects that a lot of people aren't talking about and the expectations aspects. All right, so this will be a wrap for today. And then my next one I will do will be on more of those emotional and expectation issues. Again, if you would like help with the scale, go to halfsizeme.com/join. And you can go through the Scale Sanity with us in March. And if you're somebody who is struggling with this, again, we have our new resource hub, and we also have the podcast premium, so you can listen to Sarah's coaching series, which I think will be super beneficial for you. All right, you have a fantastic day, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to visit halfsizeme.com. Check back often for your daily dose of inspiration because you are worth it.
The information you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only. The host is not a medical professional. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.